Welcome to Finals Media Day presented by YouTube TV. Here's a look at Indianapolis, Indiana. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the site of Game 6 for the Thunder versus the Pacers, and also the site of practice and media availability for players and coaches, which leads us to why we are here today. Welcome inside our NBA TV studios alongside Greg Anthony. I'm Stephanie Reddy. Glad you're here with us. We're going to get you through this afternoon, and we'll ask all the questions, or we'll at least hear all the answers. But before we get to that, we have a treat. Our own Dennis Scott is on location in Indianapolis, and he's standing by to chat with us now. 3D, hey there. How you doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Listen, I know you got a ton going on today with player interviews and whatnot, so I want to just get right to it. What have you tapped in on? What is it that is the pulse of this series as it heads back to Indianapolis?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, Stephanie and GA, is the turnovers. Which team can take better care of the basketball? We saw in Game 5, OKC jumped on the Pacers right away, got them turned over, and they went downhill most of the ball game. So get ready for Game 6 here in Indiana. You're talking to the crowd. Most people are curious how that calf is with Haliburton. Will he give it a go? I think it's a game-time decision. But at the end of the day, guys, who takes better care of the basketball? Who gets off to a fast start? And can the Pacers get their crowd into it like OKC did in Game 5?
DZ, great point there in terms of the turnovers. But one of the other issues when you watch that last game was Indiana's inability to contain J-Dub off the dribble. He seemed to just be able to get downhill consistently. And I know that's got to be a challenge because you're so loaded to try to keep SGA from going bananas. If you're the Pacers, though, what can they do to try to offset some of what he's done, particularly in Game 5?
Well, GA, you know this. You're a defensive-minded guy. The question is now for the Pacers, can you guard your yard? So many people talked about J-Dub being the first-time All-Star and All-NBA and all that good stuff. But was he ready to take that next leap? Well, in Game 5, I think he took that leap by getting downhill early in the ballgame, to your question. I think he had 3 dunks in the first quarter, which is something crazy. So to see him play that kind of basketball, I thought was huge. Now I think it's time for the Pacers to say we need to guard our yard and keep J-Dub in front of us. Now, with that being said, he was making his jump shot, he's making his fadeaway, making his threes. So it's going to be very interesting to see which guy takes that challenge to slow him down early in the ball game.
3D, you mentioned that it'll likely be a game-time decision for Tyrese Haliburton, and obviously we'll be standing by today for the media availability to see what the updates are, if any. But I am curious your thoughts on if Haliburton cannot go or if he is diminished, what has to happen for the Pacers to find success at home?
Well, if Haliburton doesn't play, so you're asking everybody to say the next man up, so every person that gets that opportunity to play. We saw TJ McConnell have a lights-out ball game coming off the bench in Game 5. Can he duplicate that? Mathurin hadn't had a game since he had 27 off the bench. I think it was Game 2 or 3. So can each guy step up? Even if he plays 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever Haliburton does do, everyone has to step up and play a top-notch game to force a Game 7.
We will certainly be keeping close tabs on that situation. Dennis, we thank you so much. And I didn't get to say this for the introduction because you weren't on with me. But for the fans at home, please give me one more time. 3D likes to say...
Leave it.
Great. Excellent job. Always appreciate you, Dennis. Have fun today.
Take it easy, Deez.
All right, guys. See you soon. All right, baby.
All right. So much fun always having him.
Yeah.
He's just always right on it. Let's talk about the Haliburton situation because we don't know what's going to happen. It has been reported, GA, that he did get looked at, right? And they did get some imaging done. An MRI is what's been reported. We haven't heard anything official yet. Hoping to get it today. But if he can't go, what's the answer? I mean, he is obviously the engine.
Well, he is the engine, but the reality is in Game 5, he couldn't go. Yep. I mean, he was really non-impactful in that game. Didn't make a field goal, didn't take very good care of the basketball, just really was more of a hindrance to what they were trying to accomplish. Now, granted, he is a terrific young player, but he's got to solve the riddle if he can go of how to deal with the physicality and the length that OKC has put on him. And part of the answer would typically be we have to play faster. Well, that goes directly opposite of what you would normally do if you're trying to take care of a sprained calf. So lots of questions to be answered. I also think if you're the Pacers, though, I don't think they match the force or physicality of OKC. They were on their heels that entire fifth game. They were initiating their offense from the half-court line. They weren't playing downhill at all. So that's as much of a mindset as anything. And so I think the fact that you're facing elimination, there should be more of a sense of desperation in this game, and having that home crowd to fuel you should pay dividends.
Yeah. Well, Tyrese Haliburton has went 0 from the field twice in the regular season. Both times the next game he scored double digits. So we'll see what happens coming off of that 0 game in Game 5. Head coach Rick Carlisle for the Indiana Pacers is at the podium. Let's listen.
Tyrese. Yeah, he participated in all our walkthrough stuff. So, but it's a walkthrough, so it's not. There was no real running or moving or anything. So we'll see. See where we are tomorrow. It's a topic that's people want to hear about and know about, and there's going to be a lot of questions about it. But we will not really know for sure until late tomorrow afternoon or early evening.
Front right, Tim.
Rick, as you've kind of watched Jalen Williams develop from afar over the last few years and then seen him up close, obviously, in this series, what stands out to you about his game and the way that he's evolved over his few years in the league?
Yeah, he's the quintessential modern-day wing. He can do everything. He can attack off the dribble. He can make plays and pass the ball. He shoots the three. He shoots mid-range. He finishes. He gets and ones. He creates a constant vertical threat on the rim. And I don't know him personally, but he looks like a great person and a great young leader on that team. And he's a guy that we gotta slow down somehow, and it's not easy.
Alvaro?
Ridmo. Zach Lowe published a comment from an anonymous GM saying that this is the hardest playing finals he can remember. When I looked at Second Spectrum data, in the 12 years they've tracked it, the 2025 Pacers in the finals have run the most miles and at the highest speed of any team, regular season or postseason, in history. Is it a product of your scheme, the opponent, the situation? Are there limits? This is a question I really have. Are there limits to pace and space?
Limits based upon what? The dimensions of the court?
That this is
the court. I don't believe the court's going to get bigger anytime soon. This has been a topic for many years. Players are getting bigger, they're getting faster. How do you create space? The arenas are pretty much configured a certain way, and it's just very difficult to try to find an extra 6 inches of width on the court on each side or whatever. And so, that's one reason that the 3-point shot has been so advantageous to the game. It creates more space. But as far as the running fast and running far, that's how we play. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Will, all the way in the back in the center.
Hey, Rick, can you just talk about Coach Busick and what she's meant to this team all year long, but in particular this historic finals run and what her ceiling is?
Well, I continue to answer the question the same way. She's one of the best coaches in the world. She's a great teacher. She's a great communicator. She has great knowledge, and she's someone that's committed to constantly learning and getting better. And so, when she was a head coach in the W, her teams were elite offensively. I've asked her to take on the role, a different role here, really concentrating on the defense. And it's been really to this point an 18-month effort to get better, to help some guys that weren't great defenders to become better team defenders, guys that were good defenders to hopefully become great defenders. And she's had a lot of impact on all that stuff. And At some point in time, there will be a first female head coach in the NBA. I believe that, and I believe that she's one of the few that could be that person.
We'll go to Steve. Mike's coming up on your right.
Rick, can you talk a little bit about the protocols of using a player or not using a player if he's hurt versus injured? Is it different in a game like Game 5 when that happens on the fly versus heading into a game? Is it medical staff, the players want to, your involvement? Does it change?
Yeah, it's all the above. It's all that. We were all talking constantly during Game 5. And so, yeah. And getting the feedback. But Game 5's over. It's time to move on.
Have you had situations where you've had to rein a player in against his, most intense desires to be out there?
Yeah. Yeah, but, not without consultation with the medical staff and, weighing all the factors. So, the answer is yes.
Joe in the back.
Rick, a substantial number of us went to the wrong room. With Tyrese, we saw him out on the floor today. Was he able to do anything other than just sort of the set shots that we saw?
We did a 30-minute walkthrough. We did about 25 minutes of film, then a 30-minute walkthrough, and he was able to do both of those things.
And then I know you said immediately after Game 5 that you thought he had done some positive things in the second half. Having watched the film and gone over, do you still feel like he was while injured, he was still more of a positive being out there?
Well, he was in there when we got it to 2. We cut it to 2, and then what happened there was we had a good defensive possession. We overhelped and gave up a second shot, and it turned into a 3. And then we had an untimely turnover at the other end, and that turned into a breakaway dunk. And then all of a sudden, boom, it was 7 again. So, this is not related to Tyrese, but it's the two things right now that are really bothersome and challenging for us is the rebounding, the second shot rebounds, and the turnover. So we're going to do our best to address those things. But as far as Tyrese, he'll go through the day tomorrow. Our prep sessions tomorrow, late afternoon, and they'll get together and do some testing, and that will determine whether he plays or not. And if he doesn't play, we have a plan, obviously, if we're without him.
Last question here on the left, second row.
Rick Carlisle from ESPN Brazil. Would you say that everything that has happened in this series is absolutely normal? You guys won a road game. They won a road game. They did their job last game, won a game in Oklahoma. And now in Game 6, you have the chance to go with 7. I'm asking that because the atmosphere around this series and Oklahoma came such a big favorite.
Yeah, we've been in this position before. We were in this position last year in the New York series. We were down 3-2, and we were coming back home. And so what we need to do is buckle down, stand strong, where we should. And I anticipate one of the best crowds in the history of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and we got to find a way. And the ultimate is to get to a Game 7. That's the ultimate privilege. It's the ultimate experience in sports. But we've got to take care of home court tomorrow to do that.
Thank you.
That was Rick Carlisle, head coach of the Indiana Pacers. And there's Tyrese Haliburton, his star point guard that they are hoping gets to play in Game 6. We'll have more coming up